Did you know that one small act of honesty can change your entire life? Today, we're sharing a timeless story that has inspired millions of children around the world to choose what is right, even when no one is watching. This is the tale of a young boy whose heart was pure gold, and how his decision to be truthful brought him more treasure than he ever imagined. A boy from a poor village. Once upon a time, there lived a very poor boy named Paul in a small village. Paul came from a family that worked hard just to put food on the table each day. His parents had very little, but they gave their son something far more valuable than money. They taught him that honesty is the best policy, and that telling the truth is always the right choice, no matter what. Paul took these lessons to heart and lived by them every single day of his life. Life in Paul's village was simple and quiet. He would wake up each morning, help his family with their chores, and spend his days playing with the other children in the village. Paul was known throughout the community as a boy who never lied, never cheated, and always did what was right. His neighbors respected him for his integrity, and even though his family was poor, they were rich in character and morals. Paul was truly a special boy. The day the king came to town, one extraordinary day, exciting news spread through the entire village like wildfire. The king was coming to visit their small, humble community. Everyone was thrilled. The villagers had never seen a real king before, and many of them rushed out into the streets to catch a glimpse of the royal procession. Paul joined the crowds of excited people gathering along the village paths. When the king finally arrived in his magnificent carriage, he was surrounded by guards and attendants wearing bright uniforms and shining armor. The king looked impressive and powerful, and everyone in the village felt honored by his presence. But here's what made this visit truly special. The king had brought gifts for the villagers. He was distributing beautiful boxes filled with cookies, candy, and other sweet treats to the children and people who came to greet him. Paul pushed through the crowd along with the other villagers, hoping to get a gift from the king. When the king finally reached Paul, he smiled at the young boy and handed him a large box overflowing with delicious cookies and colorful candy. Paul was incredibly excited. His eyes lit up with joy as he held the precious gift in his hands. He thanked the king with all his heart and immediately rushed back home to share the wonderful treats with his family. The discovery that would change everything. Paul burst through the door of his home, eager to show his family the amazing gift from the king. His parents and siblings gathered around him with excited faces. Together, they began opening the box and looking through all the delicious candy and cookies inside. It was like a celebration right in their own home. As Paul and his family were sorting through the treats, something unexpected happened. Buried deep among the candy, Paul discovered something that made his heart skip a beat. Gleaming beneath the sweets was a beautiful, sparkling ring. It was unlike anything Paul had ever seen. The ring was made of gold and adorned with precious jewels that caught the light and shimmered brilliantly. Paul's hands trembled as he held it carefully. Immediately, he realized that this ring did not belong to him. It must have fallen into the box by accident, mixed in with the candy the king was distributing. This ring clearly belonged to someone very important, most likely the king himself. In that moment, Paul faced a choice that would define who he was. He thought about his poverty and how much money this ring could bring his family. He imagined how they could buy food, clothes, and a proper home. The temptation was enormous. Paul's mind raced with possibilities. No one would ever know if he kept the ring. Who would miss it among all the candy? His family would be transformed from poor to rich. All his problems could be solved with this single, beautiful object. The choice that mattered most. But then Paul remembered his parents' words about honesty being the best policy. He thought about the values they had instilled in him since childhood. He realized that keeping something that wasn't his would be stealing, and that would be wrong. no matter how much it could help his family. Paul knew that his character was more important than any amount of gold or jewels. He made a decision that would change his life forever. Paul told his family about the ring he had found and explained that it must belong to the king. His parents were proud of him for recognizing that the right thing to do was to return it. They encouraged him to take it back to the palace. Even though they were struggling financially, they understood that honesty was worth more than money. Paul's family supported his decision completely, and together they decided he should return the ring to the king right away. Paul began the long journey to the king's palace. His heart was pounding with nervousness as he walked toward the grand building. He had never been to a palace before, and he was unsure about how he would even get to see the king. When he finally reached the palace gates, the guards looked at him suspiciously. A poor boy approaching the palace was an unusual sight. But Paul explained politely that he needed to speak with the king about something important. The king's reaction. Eventually, Paul was brought before the king, still holding the precious ring in his trembling hands. Paul bowed respectfully and explained that he had found the ring mixed in with the candy the king had given him. He told the king that he knew it did not belong to him, so he had come to return it. The king's expression changed from confusion to absolute amazement. He looked at Paul with wonder and disbelief. The king said, "Young boy, this is my most favorite ring in the entire world. I have treasured it for many years. Do you realize that you could have kept this ring and become rich? You could have sold it and lived comfortably for the rest of your life. Yet you chose to return it to me, even though you are poor and could have benefited greatly from keeping it. Why would you do such a thing?" Paul explained that his parents had taught him that honesty is always the best policy and that stealing is wrong, no matter the circumstances. He told the king that he could not live with himself if he kept something that belonged to someone else. The king was deeply moved by Paul's words and his character. He realized that true honesty and integrity were rare qualities, even more valuable than any ring or treasure. The reward beyond measure. The king was so impressed by Paul's honesty and integrity that he decided to reward the young boy generously. He said, "You, Paul, are a truly honest boy. In all my years as king, I have rarely met anyone, adult or child, who would return something so valuable when no one would ever know. Your honesty and character are worth more than gold. I want to give you a reward that will change your life forever." The king gave Paul a large chest filled with gold coins, jewels, and precious treasures. He also offered to help Paul's family with their education and future. The wealth was beyond anything Paul's family could have imagined. They would never go hungry again. From that day forward, Paul's family lived comfortably and with dignity. Paul went on to receive a good education, thanks to the king's support, and he became a successful and respected man in his community. The lesson that lasts forever. Paul never forgot the lessons his parents had taught him about honesty. He lived his entire life by those principles, and he passed those same values on to his own children when he grew up. His story became famous throughout the kingdom, and people told it to their children for generations to come. Paul proved that doing the right thing, even when it is difficult, always leads to the best outcome in the end. Honesty truly is the best policy, and it always pays off. The moral of this beautiful story is clear: honesty and integrity are worth more than any treasure in the world. When we choose to do what is right, even when no one is watching and even when it costs us something, we build our character and earn the respect of others. Rewards may come in unexpected ways, but they always come to those who are truly honest.